Best white Pauper commander cards. Thraben Charm. 1 and a white for an instant, which reads choose one. Thraben Charm deals damage equal to twice the number of creatures you control to the target creature, destroy target enchantment, or exile any number of target players' graveyards. The flexibility of being able to remove a creature, enchantment, or graveyards is great. However, its first clause is dependent on you having creatures, and nonetheless, it's almost capped as a 1-for-1 of you trading one card for a creature or for an enchantment, or if somebody's trying to get something from their graveyard. That's why it's an honorable mention. As to be in the list, you should be better than just a 1-for-1. Destroy Evil fits in that same category, where both destroying a creature with a lot of power or destroying an enchantment is great flexibility, but at best case scenario, it's just that 1-for-1, which just doesn't cut it. Suture Priest also is an honorable mention. It's 1 and a white for a Phyrexian Cleric 1/1. Whenever you have a creature enter, you gain a life, and whenever an opponent has a creature enter, they lose a life. This is great because it doesn't only help you, but it also hurts your opponents. But it only hurts them if they're playing a heavy creature dependent strategy, which is why I think Suture Priest should only get an honorable mention rather than a spot as one of the best Pauper cards. All That Glitters is the same way, where it's super strong if your deck's built around it, but it doesn't have enough support in mono white for it to be in the list. Furthermore, it's not just a staple, you have to have your deck built around it. So let's get into the list. Benevolent Blessing is 1 and a white for a flash enchantment aura. When it enters the battlefield, you choose a color and a creature, and then that creature has protection from your chosen color. It also doesn't unequipped equipment or auras, which is great. This is in the number 7 spot because if somebody's trying to remove an important piece to your board, for 1 and a white, you're able to protect it from that color not just then, but permanently, which is huge. Furthermore, if you're trying to close the game, you can give it protection from the color that the opponent has that's blocking, and that way you're able to get through, essentially giving your creatures pseudo unblockable so that you can end the game, which is why it's in the number 7 spot. I think it's just better than Apostle's Blessing, which is 1 in a Phyrexian white. So it's half the cost, but an instant and ends that same turn, but also allows you to have flexibility of protection from artifacts. Still, I don't think it's as strong, which is why I think Apostle's Blessing is worse than Benevolent Blessing, and why Benevolent Blessing gets the number 7 spot. Reprobation. It is 1 and a white for, again, an enchantment aura. However, this time you're going to be wanting to enchant your opponent's creatures, as enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a coward creature with base power and toughness 0/1. Essentially, this takes somebody's commander out of the game until they're able to somehow get rid of their commander by sacrificing it, or potentially even using one of their own removal spells to kill the commander so that they can later recast it. I always think that it's always better to worsen somebody's commander than it is to kill their commander, because that way, if they don't have a way to get their commander back into the command zone, then they might have to use their own removal, which is obviously way worse than you just putting it there to begin with. And so many decks are built around just recasting the commander and having that resilience. So when you're able to lock the commander on the board instead of sending it back, that's a lot stronger. Furthermore, Temporal Isolation I think should also get mentioned here, as it just feels like a worse version of the same type of card, in that the commander stays strong, so it's harder for them to have to remove their own commander, but they don't lose all abilities. Instead, they just lose combat damage, which is why I think Temporal Isolation is worse than Reprobation. Pentarch Ward. yet another enchantment aura. This one's 2 and a white, and you're going to want to target your own creatures, as when it enters the battlefield you choose a color. An enchanted creature has protection from the color. The reason why this is better than Benevolent Blessing, despite costing 1 more, is because when it enters the battlefield you draw a card. It is very, very difficult to find card draw in mono white, which is why that extra cost is absolutely worth not having flash, as long as you're able to get that extra card. The number 4 slot goes to Hyena Umbra, which is just a white for enchantment aura. Enchanted creature gets 1/1, first strike, and totem armor. The best part about this is obviously the totem armor. Having insurance from your commander being destroyed and not having to recast it for just white, while also again having the upside of 1/1 and first strike, is massive. I also wanted to bring up Dog Umbra here. It's 1 and a white for flash. Either your creatures get totem armor or one of your opponent's creatures can't attack or block. So it's a great way to take out a combat dependent commander from a game, but more often than not, you're probably going to want to use it on your own commander to give it Umbra armor so that again, you don't have to recast it. The number 3 slot goes to Guardian of the Guild Pact. This is 3 and a white for a 2/3 spirit creature, and it is protection from monocolored. This is an awesome blocker. If somebody's playing Voltron, you can just chump and chump and chump infinitely. Furthermore, if somebody's playing monocolor, then you're able to swing through their board with an unblockable creature essentially. However, a couple downsides are that you're not able to enchant it or target it with your own monocolored spells. However, the upside of it not being killed by practically any board wipe or any removal in Pauper makes it an awesome card. Then the number 2 slot goes to Ephemerate. Ephemerate is awesome. It is 1 for an instant, which reads exile target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. This lets you get any ETB triggers a second time for just 1 white. It also doubles as protection if somebody's trying to remove your commander, and it actually also has rebound. So it's a strictly better soul shift, as you're able to get that extra ETB. If you're running blue with Mole Drifter, that extra draw 4 is absolutely massive. It has huge upsides, while also being able to double as protection as its worst, which is what puts Ephemerate in the number 2 slot. The best card in Pauper White Commander is Prismatic Strands. It's 2 and a white for an instant. Prevent all damage that source of the color of your choice would deal this turn. Flashback, tap an untapped white creature you control. This card has gotten me an extra 2 turns in games so many times. If somebody's running Impact Tremors or anything like that, this card absolutely just stops them. Like if Sir Conrad returns 20 creatures to the top of their library or something, then this card saves you and unfortunately the entire table 20 life, and also stops the opponent from gaining that life in this case. Or if somebody's swinging at you with a 30/30 commander, then you name one of those commander's colors and you stay alive. And being able to accidentally mill it over and then flash it back by tapping your commander just makes this card invaluable, and I think an include in every single Pauper White deck.